If you're in your 20s, then this is the most important video that you're going to watch today. And why? Because I'm 51 years of age and I saw my 20s pass by so quickly. And what I've learned is that the decisions that you make right now are either going to set you up for a lifetime of success or trap you in regret, which you may not be able to undo. You see, society tells you that your 20s are for having fun, for traveling and partying and having a good time and not worrying about the future. But while I'm all for enjoying yourself, let me be brutally honest. If you waste this decade, then chances are you'll pay the price in your 30s and 40s. Your 20s are the most critical time for setting up your future, as this is a time you can take more risks, invest more time without the distractions of life, and most importantly, a time when you can make mistakes, which is where the magic of learning really happens. And I've made every mistake that you can think of, and I've also built a life that I'm proud of. And if I can save you from wasting a decade, then this video is for you. My name is Richard G-Cornell, and this channel is dedicated to helping people create their own destinies. I've been in business for 30 years, helping brands sell more of their products and services, but most importantly, I will show you how to cope and succeed in your journey whilst enjoying it along the way. So let's get into it. Mindset and learning. Now, let me tell you, this is where most people in their 20s go wrong. They never fix their mindset. And if you don't fix your mindset, everything else that you will try to build will collapse later, okay? And everything starts here. If you don't reprogram your mind in your 20s, then you'll be running on autopilot for the rest of your life. And here are some helpful tips that you really need to know. First, you will need to unlearn what you were taught at school, okay? Now, school told you that life is all about grades and, following the rules and waiting for your turn. But the real world doesn't work like that. The real world doesn't care about your report card. It only cares about the value that you bring. Second, stop living for today only. And how many people in their 20s blow every dollar they earn? They waste their weekends and say, I'll just figure it out later. Well, the problem is that tomorrow or later, it comes around much faster than you think. And I remember when I was in my 20s, when I saw all of my friends traveling overseas, yet at 21, I just started my first business and I couldn't just pick up and leave. I really wanted to have fun with my mates, but I knew what my goals were, right? And I stuck to them. And that decision taught me sacrifice, discipline, and that my purpose was worth far more than a week of gratification. And I'm not saying that it was easy, it wasn't, right? But it taught me so much. And these habits helped me achieve my goals. Thirdly, make learning a daily habit. And I don't mean classroom learning, I mean real learning, like reading, finding mentors, listening to podcasts, taking courses. Every new skill that you pick up is a weapon in your arsenal for later. And finally, please stop comparing yourself to others, okay? As this is easier said than done, but let me tell you that comparison, it's poison. It'll rob you of joy and momentum faster than anything else will. And with social media making you feel like you're failing each and every day, then cut the noise out. Because what you don't see is the debt, the insecurities and the fake smiles behind these social posts. So run your own race and make learning each and every day your #1 priority. Habits and personal growth. Okay, so now you got the mindset right, okay? Just know that mindset without action is useless. And this is where habits come in, because what you repeat daily will define your life. And unfortunately, most people repeat the wrong things because they can't master their habits, okay? And mindset, it's the one thing, and it's obviously something that you need to master. But habits are what you actually live with each and every day. And if you look at all the most successful people in the world, they all have one thing in common. And that is that they live a life of quality habits that ensure that their lives are on track with achieving their goals. And I can speak from experience. My daily habits are honestly the same each and every day. And now my habits, they run on autopilot now. I don't even need to think about my habits anymore because as the word habit suggests, it's exactly that. My habits are now second nature and they are ingrained into every aspect of my life. And your 20s are the decade for forming habits, good or bad. What you repeat now will define the rest of your life. So invest in yourself like your life depends on it. And if you invest in creating habits from health, skills and mindset, then you are on your way. So why not skip a night out and buy a book that can help you? Or instead of binge watching social media, watch some YouTube videos that will teach you something worthwhile. Or instead of sitting around the house in the week, just doing nothing or whatever, why not go outdoors, get some sun, do some exercise, free your mind and give your body the energy that it's craving. And you will soon see that these small steps and decisions you make will start forming quality habits that will set you up for the rest of your life. And also look to learn what habits make people poor, like overspending or procrastination, living for the weekend or blaming others for your failures. Avoid them like the plague, because once these habits take root, they are very, very hard to kill. Next, learn to develop people skills. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't connect with others, then you're going to stay stuck. Learn to communicate, to listen, to build trust. And these skills will open more doors than any degree ever could. And lastly, don't neglect your health. And I know in your 20s you feel invincible. I know I did, right? You think you can eat shit, you can sleep 4 hours a night, and still function. But trust me, it will catch up with you. You need to protect your body and mind now, and you'll be all the better for it later. Now, if I can pause for a second and ask you for a very small favor. If this is hitting home, don't just watch and move on in this video. Hit like and subscribe and drop me a comment on what you're working on in your 20s, as I would love to read them. Now let's get into money, because this is where people screw up the most. Money and wealth. Now, let's talk about money, which is the subject nobody taught you properly at school, okay? And the one thing that'll either make your life easier or 10 times harder. And for me, this is one of the most important lessons that you'll need to master in your 20s. And the first lesson is to start saving early. And I don't care if it's 10 bucks a week, right? But it needs to be in line with your earnings. For example, I teach my kids to save 15% of their wages each week, no matter what happens. And if you get used to saving this percentage of your earnings, you'll be creating a quality habit for life. And this will teach you that that portion of your wage is for investing, because the habit of saving is even more powerful than the actual amount that you're going to save. And try to avoid bad debt, please, from credit cards or buy now, pay later loans, as they're traps designed to keep you broke. If you can't pay for it in cash, you probably can't afford it. And you shouldn't certainly not buy it, right? So here is where you need to master your self-control. And I know it's hard, but if you can master self-control, then this will pretty much trump everything. Next, learn how to invest. Don't wait until you're earning more, right? Mistake. Even if it's small, consistent investments now will crush the guy who waits until his 30s. Time is your greatest advantage here. So don't waste this special gift of time, right? And finally, stop treating wealth like it has a finishing line, Your lifetime of wealth journey, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about building stability, freedom, and options over decades. Because as the old saying goes, easy come, easy go. So just remember that when you come across that next, big get rich quick investment or something like that. Relationships and risk. And finally, let's talk about people and risks, right? Because this is the one thing that can either skyrocket your life or completely derail it. And trust me, most people choose the wrong circle. And this one's close to my heart, because the people you surround yourself with and the risks that you take, they will shape your future more than you realize, okay? And I cannot emphasize this enough, the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people and mentors, If your friends don't push you or inspire you or believe in you, then you'll need to reevaluate your inner circle. And there were times in my 20s that I found myself, in very similar positions where I had, out of control mates, but they were good mates. And, I knew that they weren't good for me, but I chose to support them regardless. And I'm not suggesting that you need to wipe your friends, okay? But just be careful and aware of what problems that they may pose for you. Because if your gut is telling you otherwise, then you need to listen to it, as this is your intuition telling you that you need to change something, okay? Next, take risks early. This is the time to fail, to pivot, to experiment. If you wait until later in life when you've got mortgages and kids, then the cost of failure is much higher. So do it now when you have the ability to recover. Next, learn to walk away from toxic relationships, from bad jobs, from one-sided relationships. Don't waste years trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed, as this will only drain whatever energy that you have left in your tank and will take you away from fulfilling your own goals. And lastly, value quality over quantity, 10,000 followers online means nothing if you don't have 5 solid people who've got your back in real life. They say you can count your friends on one hand. Well, let me tell you from experience, right? This is so true. And you will see how apparent this is as you get older and a little bit wiser. So you're just going to have to trust me on this one, okay? The foundation truth. And here's the big lesson. And if you only take one thing from this video, then take this. Your 20s are the foundation of your life. And everything compounds from here, okay? The mindset you build, the habits you stick to, the money that you save, and the people that you surround yourself with, they all compound. And even if you don't see this for yourself in your 20s, I get it, right? You will see how important it is later. And please don't waste this decade chasing, other people's dreams or living like tomorrow doesn't matter. Because in this case, tomorrow always comes, and it comes around much faster than you think. Now, this wraps up my video today, and I really hope that you can see that you only get one life to create your own destiny, okay? So start shaping it today. So thanks very much for watching, and I would love it if you could please like and subscribe or share it with any one of your friends, who think that they could benefit from this, as I've got plenty more truths like this coming. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.